I do have one. Considering what Ms. Milisky just said and your response there, I think it's unfair to put the onus of this on the taxpayer. We're here to protect our residents. Without them, we don't have a township.
And you did. Your engineer reviewed this.
I know he did, but he wasn't even out to the property. He did say that. He wasn't ever even out to the property. I'm just saying.
I'm not disputing that. He did say
And I
that.
don't wanna argue this.
Yeah.
I just think a little bit more thought has to be put into it. I understand how they can consider that we're bending over backwards for him just because we met these benchmarks. This isn't like an ordinance, or this is specifically dealing with this person's ability to build and how it will affect people who have owned their homes for decades. Your house is usually your biggest investment. They want to protect that. I would do the same thing. I really would. They're discouraged. They don't think we're working for them.
And that's why I wanted to address her concern that she's saying that you should be ashamed of yourself. I think this board bent over backwards, went out of its way. It delayed this decision. This thing has been on your agenda probably no less than 5 times. You delayed it, you gave them the opportunity to meet with, you paid for your consultants to be here to meet with them. So.
I really don't want to talk about how much money we've spent, because I could go off on a big tangent on that.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I mean, my last comment, I wasn't really happy with the setup of the meeting. I felt it was us against them. I didn't think it lent itself to open conversation. That's my last comment.
Understood. So, and I don't want to dispute with anything you said either, so if that's your feelings, they're justified, they're correct. But from our side, I think the township tried to answer all their questions. I know we won't be able to answer them. They're concerned, justifiably so, for their homes. And I just know that they're not gonna be happy with the answers that we give, so it was a time to make a decision on it.
Other commissioner comments?
Kathy, I agree with you for the most part.
Could you turn your mic on, please?
It's on. I agree with you for the most part. I've been living this for about a year. I have reached out to friends who are engineers to give me options. What questions do I have to ask? I think maybe I think in the very beginning, we're talking about spray irrigation systems and how generally, my engineer friend says generally they start off as spray and they convert it to we said no spray irrigation. That was at least one concession. I have lived this. I have this plan. I've got them. They're all over my desk at home. I don't know what else to do other than a regulatory taking of the property. And I am, I don't think we're in a position to do it. I agree with you. And I don't know how long we've been talking about this, but it's been about a year. And I don't know what else to do. I felt that these waivers do not bypass the MPDS permit. These are waivers specific more towards the driveway side. And how you tilt the driveway is generally away from the road. And I really love when people call me fishy for trying to do my job. This is hard. I live there. And you think there's a property right behind me that's gonna go through the same thing in a couple of years. I've tried everything I can. I'll tell you what, if being rude and obnoxious wins you a case, they win every time. I've put up with this. I've had people on my porch. I've tried everything I could as a commissioner, and some things we couldn't. I've been warned, you can't do that, and I said, too bad, we're gonna try. But I am not gonna violate the constitutional rights of an individual and give them to a majority. I'm not gonna do that, nor the other way around. That being said, Kathy, I do agree with most of it. I wish I can just table this one more time and hope something pops up. I just can't do that. Now, that all being said, we've been talking about the single-family house on 10 acres of property for, I'm gonna just say a year. Anybody can correct me. It's been a year. That's probably the least use of that property that you can have. The reason I'm sitting in this seat is because not one person at this table, I'll make that very clear, approved 400 homes in 5 months. This was back in 2019-ish. You know, I have to compliment my friend Evan and his blog post. I read a blog post that really categorized that well. We had 3 commissioners push through 400 homes in 5 months against the advice of all professional services. And you know, history tends to repeat itself, and I hope we all work together so it doesn't. Thank you very much.
Other commissioners? I just want to say that Don put a lot of work in struggling with this decision, and I do think that those comments were made earlier, saying anything happened to be fishy or unfounded whatsoever. Put a lot of work in struggling with this thing. On Saturday, 10 o'clock, last Saturday, we had the memorial dedication. If you had a chance, if not had a chance, go take a look at it. It's sitting up there. There's a lot of work in there. Dennis Elliott did a lot of good work for that piece up there. So take a look if you have a chance. Anybody else, commissioners? Okay, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.